Hello, family. Thank you very much for stopping by. My name is Will, aka Dr. Financial Literacy. Today, we're going to go ahead and move forward and help you to understand one, how I've put together a budget, two, how I've used velocity banking over the last 2 months, and three, how I will be using velocity banking also on my personal and business side. So, okay, with no further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So, as you can see that here, velocity of banking is about your paycheck. It is about cash flow in general. So here is where I have the velocity banking. I'm taking my paycheck that I get every 2 weeks. I use putting it in the bank, whereas I used to put it in the bank and put some in a savings and then some in a checking account. I've slowly eliminated my savings or checking account because I'm getting more cash flow and more return on my investment by paying down my credit card debt at 25 to 30 some percent interest. In general, so I've identified a number of my business cards and personal cards to bring down the debt. So far, I've bring down, I think, about $6,000 or $7,000 over the last 2 to 3 months in general. On the personal side, I still have the one card, the Navy Federal, that I'm using for cash advances and also some purchases in general. So that is sitting there, and I'm maintaining that at about $2,000 of a 65 credit limit. But I plan on using that, as I mentioned before, through the the paid credit cards. Let me see if I can maybe brighten this up a little, just a second. Okay. All right. Okay. So in the two biweekly paychecks that I'm looking at for this particular month coming up in March, and the type of resources I expect to get, and I'm using rounded numbers to make it easy for the calculation. So the first week that on the 8th, March the 8th, I expect to have a paycheck of $1,697. Now, when I get that paycheck, because now I'm paying my rent and my mortgages through my checking accounts onto the card and getting reward points, that's what I'm doing now. I can put all of my income onto one of the credit cards. It may not be the one that I'm looking to reduce, which is at 5446, but I'm placing my rent into a checking account with limited resources, and then it's pulling from the credit card, which is giving me some points. And I've talked about that in some of the previous videos, and other YouTubers have talked about it also. So on the 22nd, I receive a second check for $16.97 and place that into the credit card that I'm trying to pay down. So all in all, I'm keeping very limited cash on hand in terms of not paying down my debt. Right now, I only have $197.55 of cash available to me across maybe 7 or 8 checking accounts. I've put and thrown everything in the kitchen sink at using this velocity banking, and it has worked well for me in reducing my overall debt. So yeah, I'm moving forward and continue to move forward, and love to help you in general. Okay, let me go down there. Okay, so in looking at my income, the next thing that you really need to have to do velocity banking is having an understanding, not even a general understanding, having knowledge about your budget. And over the last 2 months, I've pointed out that I've separated my expenses into four areas. The first area is just the rent by itself of what I'm paying. The next area is the utilities within the home itself. The third area is the monthly expenses on my credit cards, automobile, everything that I appear to be able to do monthly. And then I have the daily, like the groceries, maybe the eating now, maybe subscriptions or things that I use on a daily or gas. These four separate expenses come up to $3,177. So I'm taking my net pay that I get after the taxes. And one thing I want to say again about this is that I'm bringing home an additional, I think, 156 that I've decided to keep as deductions from my taxes and pay at the end of the year to use also in velocity banking. So velocity banking is a line of credit. So I think, hey, maybe Uncle Sam give me a line of credit until the end of the year, and then I pay them back before interest. So a part of this 169.97 is the extra amount that I'm keeping and paying back at the end of the year. So with that amount being taken out previously in 2023, then my cash flow, where I say 247 here, was probably I was running negative cash flow on the personal side in general. Now I'm on the positive side and I'm using as many resources as I can, and that's one of them. Another resource is the cash rewards. So when I'm using all the credit cards across the board, I pull the cash reward, put it into a single account, and then transfer it into whichever debt that I'm trying to pay off. And it looks like I'll be going after this business card. Again, I've done well on the personal side. My personal debt has come down significantly, and it has come down quickly using velocity banking. Then I'm now ready to jump on over to the business side. I didn't expect it this quick, but the debt is really starting to move. I really like this. So again, I'm using one of my business accounts because the personal accounts have done well, and I only have that Navy Federal at approximately 2,000 that I'm keeping because I also use that as a line of credit. So we have my income that's coming in from all these sources. We have the expenses here from all these four sources, which gives me a cash flow of $247 a month. Right now, the available cash that I have is $190.55. So yeah, in doing this velocity banking process, it has been some things that I have to adjust, which account I'm using, how much cash I will keep. I did fall short on the cash last month. That's because again I threw everything at what I was trying to do, and I needed some cash, or maybe I didn't know. Maybe I just got a little nervous and wanted to have some cash on hand. But right now I'm sitting a little bit more comfortable with only having $190 in cash and knowing that now I'm in a process or I have learned how to pay as much as I can on a credit card. So in between getting paid bi-weekly, I want to take as pretty much all of this and just dump it on top of the credit card. One of the main benefits that others YouTubers have indicated in general is that when I dump my pay into here, I'm making that payment. So this payment on this particular card, the interest and the minimum payment is about $173. So when I take my paycheck anytime throughout the year, throughout the month, is going to be making the payment of 173.13, and that's freeing up cash flow of 173. Now I'm digging in deeper into it to make sure that's what's happening, that I am freeing up cash. But in theory, and what I think I've experienced the last 2 months is, yeah, when I make that payment, when I make these two deposits, in general, as long as it's above the minimum, which is 173, it's satisfying that payment, and I still have access to cash on this card to use. So yes, it seems like the cash flow strategy, it frees up, definitely works. I really like it. So yeah, I just wanted to give you an update in terms of how I'm doing and what I'm looking like in March. This is the total deposit that I'll be able to make onto the card. These are the expenses. I'm able to put all the expenses on the card, particularly the rent. As I mentioned, I have in the account, it may not have all the money for the rent, but I have a portion of it. And when the lender attempts to pull for the rent and the bank doesn't necessarily report it as a negative, it just go ahead and pull from the credit card, which is this. There's no particular fees and is not considered a cash advance. I'm gonna monitor it again this month to make sure that that hadn't been the policy, and maybe they just allowed me to do it this particular time. So I'm gonna see how that goes. But since January, yeah, I've been putting as much as I can on any one of the credit cards, and I've paid down at least 2 to 3 of my credit cards across my personal and business significantly as a result of using Velocity Banking. Some of the lessons learned that I've mentioned earlier is knowing the budget. So yes, put together a budget as soon as you can, even if it's general. Maybe just round off your numbers so that it helps with the calculations. In terms of the bi-weekly, eventually the bills come out. The majority of these bills are coming out the first of the month in general. So my biweekly paycheck is taking care of some of these, and then that second paycheck will take care of the rest. So this first biweekly paycheck is coming in on the third, so that's 3, 7, and the second biweekly paycheck is coming in on the 22nd, 3/22. So you can operate on a biweekly manner in terms of how you get paid. The most important thing is that when you identify the credit card that you're trying to pay down, is that make sure you pay above the minimum. So any one of these bills right here would have satisfied. I can just stop at one and use velocity banking, say all my rent. So even if I just ran my rent through this 5446 that I plan on using, that satisfies the payment right there. And I wouldn't have to do anything else. But in my case, I'm happy with velocity banking. I'm happy with what has occurred. So once I get these 2 paychecks on these 2 periods, they are going directly onto this card, and then I'm gonna charge from there. So I like it. I got over the nervousness and the mistake of not having any cash. So yeah, maybe I keep $200 in cash just around for a little bit of security until I get much more comfortable with the velocity banking. But this is good. This is good. All right. So thank you very much for stopping by, and you too, I think, can really do velocity banking, even if you just use just 1 or 2 of your items from here placed on a credit card. This will free up or appear to free up your cash flow, and it has freed up my cash flow. So I really like it. I will continue to use it, and this is pretty much the last. I'm so surprised. I mean, I'm happy. I'm so surprised. So this is pretty much the last credit card on my I think on the personal side and the business side, that I can maybe start going after the other debt that I've talked about, which is $325,000. That's $155,000 in student loans and about $150,000 in my properties. And I plan to use these credit cards once I have them freed and down to zero as instruments. So again, look at velocity banking, keep Googling it, check it out. My number is in the bottom. Working with a couple of clients also along these lines. They're also a little nervous about the system and how it works, and particularly around understanding that if you make that payment by depositing your check, it makes that first payment. So they feel like, okay, how does that work? But in general, I mean, I'm very happy. I really love my sign. It is what it is, but it will become what you make of it. Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Literacy. Have a great day, everyone.